I don't think people understand just how crucial Britain's forgotten canals were during WWII. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, like and share if you love uncovering hidden history. In 1940, as the Blitz raged and Britain's cities burned, the nation's modern transport arteries, railways and roads were shattered by bombs. Yet, beneath the chaos, a forgotten network quietly endured: the canals. Once the lifeblood of industry, these winding waterways had faded into obscurity, dismissed as relics of a slower age. But their very invisibility became their strength. Hidden by trees and tucked behind city streets, canals were nearly impossible targets for bombers. Even when damaged, a canal could be patched far more easily than a railway bridge. As the grand arteries failed, the government turned to the canals, reviving them as secret supply lines. Coal, munitions and food began to move not by train or lorry, but by narrowboat, quiet, steady and almost invisible. These humble vessels became a vital part of Britain's defiance, proving the unexpected power of the overlooked. The canals, once dismissed, became a lifeline in Britain's darkest hour. Sometimes survival depends on what others fail to see. The Luftwaffe's strategy was to cripple Britain by bombing its modern transport hubs, railways, roads and bridges. But these systems, efficient in peace, were fragile in war. A single bomb could paralyze an entire region. The canals, by contrast, formed a sprawling, decentralized web. Damage to one section rarely stopped the flow. Boats could wait, reroute, or simply work around obstacles. Their slow pace, once a disadvantage, now meant stealth and adaptability. Narrowboats could hide under bridges or trees, moving unseen at night. The simplicity of the canals made them robust. Local problems were solved by local hands. While a bombed railway caused chaos for miles, a damaged lock was quickly fixed. The water kept flowing and the supply line held firm. In the end, the old ways quietly triumphed over the new. The canal's resilience was their secret weapon. Sometimes slow and steady really does win the race. We often believe newer is better, but the Blitz proved otherwise. The canal's strength lay in their simplicity: earth, water, brick and wood. Damaged locks could be repaired with local materials and skills, not specialized parts. Narrowboats, powered by simple engines or even horses, were easy to fix and hard to stop. No reliance on the national power grid meant the canals kept moving when electricity failed. Their independence and self-sufficiency became decisive advantages. In a world of fragile complexity, the canal's low-tech resilience stood firm. When high-tech systems broke down, the old ways kept Britain alive. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the strongest. The canals were proof that low-tech can outlast the high-tech under fire. Infrastructure is nothing without the people who run it. The canal revival was powered by the boat people, families who lived and worked on the water for generations. Their inherited knowledge of every bend and lock was irreplaceable. When new recruits joined, especially women stepping up for the war effort, they learned from these veterans. Life on the canals demanded resourcefulness and resilience, qualities honed by hardship. Wartime challenges were just another test for these adaptable communities. Quietly they became unsung heroes, moving coal, steel and food through the heart of the nation. Their expertise kept the supply lines open when others failed. The canal families were the living memory and beating heart of the network. In Britain's hour of need, their quiet determination made all the difference. In war, what you overlook can be your undoing. The German High Command, obsessed with modern targets, dismissed Britain's canals as obsolete. Their intelligence focused on railways and roads, ignoring the slow, hidden waterways. This modernity bias blinded them to the canal's strategic value. While bombers hammered the obvious targets, the canals slipped beneath notice. No systematic raids, no targeted destruction, just a ghost network moving vital supplies. The enemy fought with one eye closed, missing the capillary system that kept Britain alive. The British turned a supposed weakness into a secret strength. The canal's invisibility was their shield. Sometimes the greatest advantage is being underestimated. The canals became more than supply lines. They were a stage for deception. British authorities used the waterway's obscurity to hide assets and create illusions. Barges moored under trees or in tunnels vanished from enemy view. Dummy sites and decoy barges drew bombs away from real targets. Strategic materials were dispersed across the network, hidden in plain sight. 100 boats scattered over miles became an untraceable reserve. The canals became a floating, shifting warehouse, impossible to destroy. This quiet misdirection turned the enemy's assumptions against them. Sometimes the best defense is simply not being seen. The canal's story is more than history, it's a lesson for today. Our world is built on complex centralized systems that are efficient but fragile. The canals remind us of the value of redundancy and low-tech alternatives. Skills once dismissed as obsolete, like those of the boatmen, can become essential in crisis. Decentralized networks, like the canals, are harder to break than single points of failure. True resilience means fostering local skills, distributed resources, and practical know-how. We must learn to value what's overlooked: the simple, the local, the robust. The canals of today might be old radios, bicycles, or community halls, assets that endure when high-tech fails. Preparedness is about wisdom, not just technology. The canals teach us to build strength from the ground up. Sometimes survival depends on remembering the old ways. The Blitz tested Britain, and the canals emerged as unlikely heroes. While modern systems buckled, these quiet waterways endured, powered by simple mechanics and skilled hands. Their triumph was a victory of resilience over fragility, of the overlooked over the obvious. The canal family's perseverance turned forgotten routes into arteries of survival. Today, their story urges us to value simplicity, redundancy, and practical skills. The canals are more than history. They're a blueprint for enduring crisis. Sometimes the quietest ways are the strongest. In turbulent times, their lesson is one we can't afford to forget.